Hi, I'm Steph Palermo, and I know you hear me talking about feeling groovy and doing groovy things and having fun and enjoying your life. But what does that actually mean when you have to wake up every day to an ever-growing list of to-dos? And then, of course, there's those shoulds. I should meditate. I should get on a diet. I should go to yoga. I should rest. I should do all these things to feel good. I should travel. Well, I'm offering you a chance to actually feel and embody what groovy is, what feeling amazing is. Join me in Terracini, Sicily. You will not regret it. We are going to have an amazing time, and you will actually feel what living really is, what knowing your purpose is. And you'll be able to take that back, not in a list of to-dos, but in how you feel. So I'll see you there in Terracini, Sicily. Don't miss it. This is the Just Steph Show, and I'm your host, Steph Palermo, your Italian Boston girl who's an empath, healer, and all-around seeker of wisdom. Tune in weekly for advice on how to live your best life at work, home, or play so you can feel groovy every day. Hey, this is Steph Palermo. I'm Just Steph. I'm your Sicilian Scorpio girl who takes you by the hand and shows you how to enjoy life. And I'm back again today. Yes. And this is going to be the best today, I think, because of course, all of us girls are going to be interested in this topic. But first, before I introduce our amazing guest, I've had tons of technical difficulties today and, things getting mixed up. And the name of this show is the Just Steph Show with Michelle Keinan. And we already talked with Amy this morning. So I will fix that down the road. So I am sorry about that. But we are here because we are kicking off today all of the Divine Self Summit speakers, and we're talking to them so that all of you can get a feel for what this amazing week, June 21st through the 25th, 2021, is all about. And you're going to get a great feel. And if you haven't already, we've had 3 great guests, and Michelle Keinan is going to be joining us today, and she's amazing as well. One as fabulous as the next. And this 5-day soul journey sort of summit is a gathering of 20 amazing experts who are mediums, healers, coaches, intuitives, mindset peeps. We're a vast array of experts who are coming together to help you to get on your soul's proper path. And I always talk about this. Your soul needs to be the driver, not your body, because your soul is sitting back there going, where are you going? This is why you're not happy. So this is a soul recognition summit and a healing summit. And we're going to have an amazing time with all these amazing speakers. And today, you guys are going to love this. I have Michelle Keinan. I'm gonna read this because I'm already steamed up. Michelle Keinan, also known as the Satisfied Wife, multipreneur and healer, expert in masculine and feminine relationship dynamics, and helping women feel deeply satisfied in their relationships. She has taught thousands of women how to fulfill their deepest desires through her unique methodology, blending feminine energy principles. I wonder what that is. Neuro-linguistic programming, somatic therapy, and intentional communication. So without further ado, Michelle Keinan. Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. I had some issues earlier too. I mean, I was like trying to do something with sharing the screen and it didn't move. And
yeah,
it's just, it happens. So, and thank God, I mean, I have to say, if one thing was good about this being on lockdown, everybody's understanding technical difficulties.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like technology is such a gift, so that when it goes a little haywire, I forgive it. It's okay.
Oh, I agree. I love it because you can reach so many people. So I'm happy to have you here. And I think for when I read this, when I read your bio, I thought this isn't just about the sex.
Oh no.
This is so much bigger and better than that because that's one part of our being, an important part, but just one part. So I'd love to have you talk to those differences, and all of that, what you do in terms of how we fulfill our deepest desires, and it's not just the sex. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, great sex is actually like a byproduct of all these other things that you do and that you can do when you're in relationship. And just, to be clear, there's a difference between having sex or like, that act or, that experience. And when you're actually in relationship, especially when you're in a long-term relationship, because one of the things that I teach is that your relationship has the potential and the opportunity to be an incredibly transformational container for healing and for growth, and not only for having everything that you desire, but because you have the privilege of being in relationship with a whole other person, for everything that person desires. And then when you come together, you get to have what I call 100-100 relationship. So another thing that I teach is about not compromising in relationship, because both people have the opportunity to be their highest and best, and then to join together from that place, to create, in infinity, whatever you could possibly imagine or desire.
I love that because it's not 50-50. And I never like that word compromise anyway, because it implies giving up something.
Yeah, in the beginning of my relationship with my husband, I remember one of like our first fights that we had, my husband saying to me, I said, hey, babe, if we're going to be in this relationship, we're going to have to learn how to compromise. And he looked me dead in the eye and he's like, I don't compromise and I'll never compromise. And in my head, I was just like, oh my God, who am I in a relationship with? Like, what's going to happen? I'm never going to get what I want. It's always going to be about him. But what I learned, what it forced me to realize, right, is when we don't compromise, when we actually take that off the table and we have the commitment that we want to build and grow together, it challenges us to show up differently and to find solutions and outcomes that aren't about how we chop ourselves down or limit ourselves or, decide, oh, I'm not going to get what I want, or that person is going to get everything and I'm going to get nothing, right? That's a limited way of thinking. It empowers us actually to figure out ways to get everything we want and for our partner to get everything that they want also.
Yeah, I agree. I like to use the word meld.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I like that. We're melding. We're melding lives. We're melding families. We're melding, interests.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
And when you get out of that track, like when you think of, I'm going to meld, we're going to come together in partnership. It's how do we take the best of both of us to create even more than we could ever imagine? Because, one of the ways that I was raised was as being an empowered woman is that I can do it all by myself, and that I shouldn't rely on other people, and that I'm the smartest, and that I'm the best, and that I can make anything happen. And that's totally true. But now imagine you have a whole other resource, which is a whole other person. What else can be possible when you join forces with somebody else that has their own resources and their own experiences and their own strengths and their own power? And when you learn how to come together in that constructive way instead of that destructive way, it's you basically have a relationship that's limitless, and that creates a life that's limitless as well.
Well, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but I know that you're younger than me because I'm 54. And though what you just described that's like two aware people. They have to be aware. You have to be aware of what you're doing. And it's not just, I don't need to change. I'm okay. It's two aware people, because the older crowd, the second lifers, which is my crowd, the empty nesters, newly single, and those starting over. It's difficult because they get sort of stuck in their ways, and also it was the way we were raised,
Right.
because our parents came from the 50s. And you're torn between this new way of thinking, and also I think partly not wanting to let go of some of that good old-fashioned values, those old school values, but let go of the stuff that held us back.
Right. And, when you talk about awareness, the truth is that we're all starting from wherever we're starting from, right? And we all have the potential to grow and change or become whatever it is that we want. And something that I definitely teach is, I'm not trying to turn anybody into a 1950s housewife. I'm not trying to drag anybody back into the kitchen or limit who they're supposed to show up. And at the same time, I also recognize that a lot of the things that we learn from our parents, from our grandparents, from past generations might not necessarily be applicable anymore, because the world has changed. What's possible for us has changed. And it almost feels like the pendulum has swung from one extreme all the way to the other. And I'm seeing a lot of women that are frustrated, and a lot of stories that are out there that are true. This is the experience of a lot of women, that they're not getting what they want from their partners, that they're carrying the mental load, they're doing emotional labor, that by default, everything's falling on their shoulders. And that is a very common experience, but that's not the experience that you have to have. And I'm here to normalize a different kind of relationship between men and women, where your man is not the enemy, your man is not the patriarchy. And in fact, what he really wants is for you to be happy, for you to be fulfilled. And he would love to be the source of that happiness and that fulfillment and that possibility. But that there's certain things that we never learned through that old narrative that are blocking him and are blocking ourselves from us both being happy and having that fulfillment.
Exactly. And I think people tend to think in the religious world that women are supposed to be, doormats. And that really was never the intention. I don't want to get totally religious here, but if you go back to the scripture at the very first, in every culture, every ancient culture has, a beginning, a story of creation. So if I just take the Judeo-Christian scripture where, Yahweh created a partner, like it was a helpmate, and it's the words are Isa Kenegdo, and one of them, those words, Ezer, is actually like God. So the woman has an elevated position. It's a lot. We want to think that, oh no, we're supposed to be, this is what they said, and this is what we saw our moms do this, or our grandmas, take it. And that's not how it's supposed to be.
Well, I don't teach shoulds, and also I don't teach from a religious viewpoint.
Right. No, it doesn't.
And at the same time, right, a lot of our ideas for how relationships should be or what's possible, it's based on what we saw growing up, or it's based on what we see in relationships around us, or it's based on these misinterpretations that were then indoctrinated into us. And a lot of that we don't even realize, right? When you're living inside of that limiting belief, you don't realize, you just think oh, that's normal, that's how things are. So we hear things the longer you're together, the less you have sex, that you can't change a man, things oh, the old ball and chain when it's talking about marriage. And again, it is true for many people, but at the same time, if that's not making you happy and if that's not giving you what you want, it doesn't have to be like that. And chances are that, especially if you're with a good partner, a good human being, and I hope that whenever you got together with your partners, whoever's watching, you did, say, okay, this is a good man, this is a good person that I want to be with. that you understand that they want you also to be happy. And probably if you're not happy, they're not happy either. And that's the real opportunity where it gets to be different.
I love that, because, you know, when you're not happy, you know, a lot of times, you know, people hold it in and they don't say it. And the other person's feeling the same thing. But let me ask you this. So why are so many women unfulfilled in their relationships with men today?
Well, first of all, there's that ongoing narrative, right? And a lot of people are more interested, or I don't want to make a judgment there. A lot of people don't know. They are just like, well, that's how it is. And I see this going on in so many other relationships. Damn it, I'm stuck here. This is just how it is. And they feel frustrated and they don't know what to do. But on the second hand, right, part of having a 100-100 relationship is understanding that you have full responsibility and full potential. I think of responsibility as an opportunity to know that if you don't have what you want, chances are that you're showing up and you're doing things that aren't the things that you want to do, that don't feel good for you, and that you don't have to do them anymore. But we don't realize that, because for so many of us, we're so stuck in like the everyday, the hustle, the grind, keeping things together. My husband, he calls it the technicalities of life, right? Like the calendar, the scheduling, the chores, like just making sure that you can get through the day so you can go to sleep and wake up and do it all over again.
Right.
There's an opportunity in all of those things to show up differently and to do it differently, but it does require that we stop only complaining or only gossiping or only just like feeling frustrated, and start to make different choices and take different actions that give us different results. So if you keep having the same fight with your partner, or if you keep doing things over and over that you hate, that you don't want to do, you're just going to get more of the same. And so recognizing that, what are I call them micro actions, right? Because people think, oh, I need to leave my partner. I need to leave the country. I need to like blow up everything in order for things to be different. But that's not true. We can start with very little things and showing up in different kinds of ways that will have massive ripple effects and changes.
So how did you apply this in your marriage, and what got you started on this track to help women feel more satisfied? And I want to also ask about I had something in my head and I lost it, but I'm going to write it down. So go ahead. What did I ask you? I can't even remember.
You asked me how this all started and how I started.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
My marriage. So first, I need to ask you if I'm allowed to use some curse words on your show.
Well, it's not going to. We're not censored.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use the B word. Okay. So let's just say that when my husband met me, and you can ask him this. This is the truth. I was a mega bitch.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
I was a bossy woman that knew what she wanted, that always got what she wanted, that if I desired something, I'd figure out how to get it. I'd go out there and I'd make it happen. And so I had a lot of success in the professional world and in life. Like I had, I was making lots of money and I was upwardly mobile in my career, and I lived in this like fabulous apartment, and I was doing pretty great. But all of those skills that I was using to be successful were not working in my relationships with men. And what would happen to me is either I would emasculate the men that I could convince to date me or be in partnerships with me, or men that I found to be like strong and attractive and that I felt I wanted to be with and respected, they would run away from me, or they wouldn't want to be in relationships with me. And it left me in this really frustrated place where I bought into that narrative, like, what's wrong with men? Men only like nice girls. Men only like sweet girls. Men don't like it when you're loud, when you're bossy, when you say what you want. Like, it started to prove this narrative that I had learned, that, there was something wrong with men, that they couldn't like a powerful woman. And when I met my husband and I got together with my husband, I realized that if I was going to continue on that path of acting and doing things in that way, I was either going to lose my respect for him. I was like doming him into, obeying me. And I just didn't want to do that. Right. Like I had a great man, someone that I was in love with, somebody that I really wanted to build with. And I realized that the tools that I had and the mindset that I had around my relationship wasn't working, wasn't giving me what I wanted. And also because I really loved him, what I realized is that it was actually getting in the way, or cock blocking, so to speak. That's another term I like to use. Blocking him from being the powerful man, the confident man who could show up in his power and in his potential in the way that I wanted and in the way that felt good for him. And so I realized that I could take full ownership instead of trying to force him to be something or nag him or micromanage him or criticize him, because that was not working. That was not giving me what I wanted. It wasn't giving him what he wanted either. That if I could stop doing those things and try something else, that it would have a huge change. And it did, because when I stopped using that domineering energy to be the boss all the time, it gave him the space to step up, but it also gave me the space that I didn't even know that I needed to just relax and to receive and to enjoy and to have more pleasure in my life. And it was amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that, because, you know, when we allow men to help us, it liberates us. Like, you know, I mean, I was a young, you know, I was a young mom, and I was bitching about how he loaded the dishwasher. Well, he never loaded it again.
Exactly.
You know, and so if I would have just given up that sort of control, you know, maybe he would have loaded the dishwasher a couple, you know, and I would have had a little bit easier. But I mean, you know, so I think some of us have that, you know, we feel like we have to have our hands on it because we'll get it done right, because they won't be able to do it.
Right. As if there's one way that's better or right, or that we're actually valuing like efficiency or rightness instead of the experience, right? Like, it's like we get so myopic about the outcome, which is great in something like building a business or making money. But when you have a relationship, right, it's not only about getting what you want. It's also about like the experience and the journey along the way of building together and growing together. And what's really, really cool, right, is so many of us are actually, without realizing it, we get so obsessed or hyper-focused on those, I'm going to call them low-level or everyday kinds of things, like loading the dishwasher or doing the laundry or putting down the toilet seat. But once you stop making that the priority and having all your focus there, what starts to happen in your relationship, and for each of you in your relationship, is you can start to focus on and expand in the really important things, like growing business or acquiring wealth or creating the lifestyle that really feels good for you and for your partner, building legacy, having a family. But so many of us are in that survival mode without even realizing it. And it doesn't allow the space or the opportunity for you to come together with your partner, or even for your partner to show up in that kind of way, because you're always focused on what he didn't do or what he didn't take care of or what you think you have to do because he didn't do it. Whereas if you could find other solutions, and you can, by the way, and you can also give your partner the opportunity to come up with those solutions too, if you would just do what I call leaning back. We all learned about leaning in, right? And doing more and all that. But if you have a different energy of leading back, that's what creates the space for something new to happen. And when you shift your mindset, right? Because a lot of women have this belief, well, if I lean back, nothing's going to get done, and he's just going to be lazy, and I'm just going to have to do everything, because maybe in the past that is what has happened. But when you learn this as a practice and you learn a lot of the tools that I teach and other amazing women are teaching in this field, you see a huge shift and difference in what's possible in your partner and in your relationship and in your own life.
So I have a question, and this is sort of a twofold. Asking for what you desire, want, or need in terms of, you know, fulfillment. I struggle with that because, number one, not because I'm, you know, I am a strong personality. However, I was raised to be, you know, the Sicilian housewife. So, but in my marriage that I'm not in any longer, if I asked for help, I was seen as needy.
Yeah.
So how do we get past asking for what we want, need, and desire without, number one, coming across as needy, and number two, actually asking for that because we're not weak. It's not, doesn't mean we're weak. It doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means that we want help.
Well, I have so many different things to say on this topic. Where, at one point my brain wants to go, well, we learned that it's wrong or it's bad to be needy, but is it, right? So there's like a paradigm shift that's around that.
Right.
But I was actually just talking to one of my clients about this morning, and what came up for her and what I was able to teach her is it's not only about the words that you use, but it's about the energy, and it's about how you're showing up in those kinds of situations. And something that I teach inside of my Goddess Wife School is it's the art of feminine communication. And that doesn't mean that you talk like this and you say please and you only smile. No, but what it does mean is that you acknowledge that a lot of men communicate differently. They need different parameters or preparation before we have that kind of communication with them. When we just drop shit on them, especially when we're frustrated or overwhelmed, that's definitely not the right time to have those kinds of conversations. So it's like, how do you learn to set yourself up for success and also set your partner up for success so that you can both show up and so that you can both do and receive what it is that you need in order to feel good. So another thing that I teach is that your man wants to be your hero. He does. It's one of his greatest fulfillments to.
Well, that's how they're wired.
Yeah, to make you happy. Like, it's one of the similar reasons why men love video games. I know it's like a totally weird parallel, but men love missions and achievements and winning and knowing the goals and winning and celebrating that. But us as women, we've been taught that, men are the same and we expect from them what we are expecting of ourselves or our friends, or we talk to them in the way that we think that we should be spoken to. We're not acknowledging that there are differences there. And for anybody that's watching that doesn't like me generalizing about men or women, that's fine. Just think about yourself and your relationship and how it works with your partner and with you, and try these principles out in your own relationship. And you'll see that a lot of the times it's very, very true. And so I think, in something that I teach, something that was a huge shift for me was giving myself permission to be needy, giving myself permission not to be able to do everything on my own, giving myself permission to acknowledge that my man is, this is so scary to say, this is crazy, that he's better than me in a lot of things, that a lot of us have been taught that is terrible and that we should not say those things and that it's messed up and that we shouldn't elevate men in that kind of way. And so my invitation to anybody that's watching is to stop thinking about men and start thinking about your partner and your man, because your man is not the patriarchy. He's not all men. He's a person that is literally choosing to be in relationship with you every single day, whether you have a wedding certificate or not. Him being there and you being there is you both making the choice to be there together every single day, and knowing that he wants to be there. So what can you do together? And if you're afraid to do it with him, fine. What can you do on your own to set him up for success in the relationship as well?
So, this is what I heard. I think that if we think about that, our partner as an individual. So, I have girlfriends that are better than me at certain things, and they bring certain gifts to the table, and I bring gifts to the table, and other friends. It's the same with our relationships with our partner, with our significant other, that they're going to be better at some stuff than we are, and we're going to be better at some stuff than they are. And that's what it would be boring if we were all the same.
Right. And it would definitely kill the sexual chemistry between you.
Oh, that would be terrible.
And that's why a lot of couples find over time that they lose that charge and they lose that energy, because they're constantly trying to force themselves and their partner to meet in the middle. Right. Mm-hmm. And when you're meeting in the middle, it's killing that kind of polarity. It's killing that charge of differentiation and potential between the two of you as well. And, the other thing that came up for me while you were talking is something else that I did in my relationship is I stopped only thinking about what would be best for me. And I also started needing to consider what would be best for my partner, and not only as my husband, but also as a man in this world.
As a human being.
I had a conversation with him when I realized all of the ways that I was getting in the way of him being his best, because I was trying to force him to be what I thought he was supposed to be, or what I thought he needed to be in order to make me happy. And once I stopped doing that, so many things shifted again. And it was surprising to me, because I didn't realize how indoctrinated or convinced I was to expect the worst from him. And so many of us are. We keep expecting the worst from our partners. How much he was able to start showing up as his best in ways that surprised me. So I'm busy with, you know, the dishwasher, but wouldn't it be better if my man was in his power to bring home so much money that he could hire a cleaning person for us, and he could set up all these other things? Like, who gives a shit if he's if he's loading the dishwasher, if he can be in his greatness, and that elevates all of our lives at the same time.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. And I love a house cleaner. Yeah.
Save my marriage.
Yeah. It's awesome. I think it's great. So apparently you're going to be speaking on this, to this topic at the Divine Self Summit.
Yeah. And I love it, because I think you're on the same day as me, and the topic is abundance, right?
Yes. Yes.
And at first I was like, wait, why did I get put in the abundance category? But I fully am aligned with that, and realize that, because when you invest in your relationship in this kind of way, it's all about abundance. It's all about overflow. It's all about how can you both show up and give more and pour more into the relationship and into each other. And that is what creates true abundance, and way more than you could do on your own.
Absolutely. It's synergy. And,
yes.
And so, which brings me to my last question: is having it all a lie?
No, but what is a lie is the way that most of us have been taught to try to force an existing system or paradigm to work for us. And what we have to realize is the way that society is set up, the way that most businesses are set up, all those structures out there, they're not set up to make us happy. They're not set up to foster strong relationships and happy families. They're just set up to, you know, make, let's say, like, if a business, to make money the most efficient way, to hit the bottom line, to make investors happy, just to keep a system operating. And we have this huge opportunity now. I know that it's crazy to think about, you know, with the pandemic and the way that the world stopped, but this is the reason why so many women are leaving the workforce, starting their own businesses, saying no to what is not working. And for those of you out there that, you know, were forced to leave jobs because, you know, you had to take care of your kids, or you had to homeschool, or you had to deal with so many things that were not part of the plan, what I would like to invite you to consider is that this is a huge opportunity for you to create a life that really works for you, works for your marriage, works for the family that you'd like to build and create, and the lifestyle that you'd like to have, that you don't need to fight to force the system to be what you think it's supposed to be. You can create that. And if you have a partner, even better, you can co-create that with a true partner, so that you can have exactly what you want, and you can have it all, but it might not look the way that it's been modeled for so many years before us.
Agreed. That's awesome. I'm so thrilled that you're going to be speaking on my day. So that's going to be great. I'm going to be emceeing. That's Thursday, the 24th of June.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited for that. We're going to have such a good time. It's going to be a great summit. And Michelle, I really enjoyed this. I would love to have you come back sometime and do the Just Steph show outside of the summit.
I would love it. I would love it so much.
It's fun. I love it. So you're great. You're fabulous. How can people find you?
So you can Google The Satisfied Wife and you will find me. I have an amazing Facebook group. It's called Goddess Wife Vibes with, I think, like 2,500 women in it. And I'm actually having an amazing workshop next weekend, which is called Ignite Your Intimacy and Attraction, where I'm going to be teaching my lazy lover technique for all you women that are super busy and super tired, but you want to reignite that spark with your man. And I'm going to be teaching that for the first time publicly next Saturday. So I think I'm linked on this interview. You can DM me if you want the link for that. or you can find it on my website, which is my name, michellekeinan.com.
I love it. I love it. This is great. I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk, and we had a little technical difficulties at the beginning, and I don't know, the Wi-Fi is a little cray, but what are you going to do? So I will definitely see you on June 24th, and I hope that people will come and not only be part of the summit and listen to all of you and all these wonderful speakers, but even if they have an issue that they feel like you can help them with, I hope that people, and this is what I see too, and maybe you do as well, just have the courage to make your life better.
Absolutely. And also to say that you can be surprised at the little things that you can do to make these huge shifts. So especially if you feel hopeless, or if you feel like you tried everything, coming to this summit, connecting with teachers like myself and like Steph, like we can really show you how to make that real in your life now. So you should definitely take that opportunity.
I love it. So I'll be back on Monday with more speakers. So have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. So take a risk, be vulnerable, share your heart and love always. Know I love you all. Wishing you love, balance, and peace. Ciao, ciao, baby. I love you. I do. Bye, Michelle.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Just Steph Show. I really care about you, your happiness, and helping you make great choices for your life. So tune in next week for more wisdom from me. In the meantime, follow me on my Just Steph Facebook page, on Twitter at Steph Palermo. My Instagram account is JustSteph1, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Steph Palermo.